Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Zapeta, and I'm the current
Hold on one second. I want to make sure that it's live.
Thank you.
On the stream. Okay, you're live. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Zapeta, and I am the ASF president. Before we begin with the candidates forum, I'd like to remind everyone of a few important dates. If you wish to register by mail, it must be postmarked on or by October 19th, which is also the last day to register online. You can request a mail-in ballot by October 27th. If you wish to register in person, you can do that on November 3rd. If you wish to mail in your ballot, it must be postmarked on or by November 3rd. If you wish to vote in person or turn your ballot in person, it must be done on November 3rd between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. All ballots must be collected by the county election office by November 20th to count. With that, I'd like to turn over the stage to Mark Hemstreet from the Lancaster Chambers of Commerce, who will be moderating this event.
Great. Thank you, Cameron. Welcome, everybody. I think we have a great program set up for you today. This is our candidates forum for both District 1 and District 3 for Antelope Valley College Board of Trustees. So just to give you a real quick briefing here. So if you are hearing impaired or you know of someone that's hearing impaired, we will have a transcript posted within the next 24 hours for you on the AVC's YouTube channel. So make sure you check back with that. And we're also recording this, so you can also watch it again. To our candidates, we have 3 of the 4 candidates here with us today. I'm going to give each candidate a 1-minute self-introduction. And that's also for you to include what district you're representing. And then we're going to ask a number of questions. Each candidate will be able to answer each question, and we'll give each of you 1 minute to answer the question. When we finish all our questions, depending on time, we'll either do a 1 minute or a 2-minute closing statement, and we'll run through all 4 of our candidates there. So to start with our opening statement, I would like Michelle Harvey to lead off our forum. So Michelle, go ahead and take the floor.
Good afternoon. It's so wonderful to be here with you today. I'm Michelle Harvey, and I'm running for trustee of District 1. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to be able to have this trustee seat because I believe that education is opportunity. And the more that we create pathways for students to realize their dreams, the more opportunities you will have. So I'm here to fight for that. And I appreciate your vote on November 3rd for Michelle Harvey for District 1. I hope at the end of this, that is where you'll stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Let's go on to Mr. Paris Rutger. You're muted. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rutger Paris. I want to thank you as well for this opportunity to speak with you guys today. I'm running because I think the College Board is a beautiful place to really get to know and be involved in our community. The college is truly where I believe our education abilities for our adult citizens as well is rooted. And I just want to be a part of that and help in any way I can. You know, I feel an obligation to be of service to the community, and so that's why I'm running.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Michael Dutton, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to address the public out there in this kind of forum that you're having. I've been involved in education for over 40 years, and service to the community is the focal point of why that is the case. I've been on school boards for 31 years, elementary and high school. I've taught on primary, secondary, and college level, and I am the founding principal of SOAR High School, which is a high school program on the college campus where students can matriculate clear through their AA degree once they start high school. And in that position, I've worked on the college campus, have formed relationships and understand how things work at the college level. And I would consider it an honor if I was elected to represent trustee area number 1, which is the sum total of the rural population, if you will, of the Antelope Valley. Thank you
Time's
very
up.
much.
Great, thank you. And we do have Michael Reeves who just joined us. So Michael, we are doing a 1-minute opening statement. So if you want to go ahead, and you may start now. You're muted, Michael. Michael, you're muted.
Can you hear me all right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was involved in the Los Angeles Community College District when I lived down below 13 years ago. I ran for the board down there, and I also ran for some vacancies on the board. There were some things that I wanted to do with the Los Angeles Community College District, like create a university system, have a nursing program that would help students go all the way through. They could just concentrate on nursing. Those are some of the things that I wanted to work on, and I see that I might have an opportunity to do some of that by running for this board. Now, we're going to be facing many challenges in the coming days, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But you have an idea while I'm running. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michael. All right, let's move right on to our questions. So our first question, I'm going to start off with Michelle. Again, Michelle Harvey, you'll be our first one up on this. And each question we are going to go and someone new is going to start each question off. Actually, I had Michael was going to start off the opening statements, but he wasn't here on time. So, but I'm going to get back onto my schedule because I've printed it all out so I can read it. So Michelle, first question to you and all the other candidates. What unique qualifications do you have to serve as a board of trustee? And you have 1 minute.
Thank you for that question. I have over 20 years of experience in education. I have served as a chief academic officer in a public school district, chief of schools in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And I've also worked doing operational work for schools and school districts for over the past 20 years. What I see that I can bring to District 1 is a fresh perspective about the community college system, what it offers students, and also my experience from my work in New Orleans, as Michael just stated, we're going to be experiencing a lot during the pandemic. How we learn, whether that be in person or remotely. And my experience from emergency management, I think will help a lot. Thanks. I'll get a timer too.
Thank you. What I might do is for each one of you, is I'll raise my hand when you have 10 seconds, when you have 10 seconds, and then I'll close my hand when your time is up. Will that help? That might help you because I'm timing it, but
yeah, it's okay.
That would be helpful.
When I do ours for the chamber, I have lights and stuff, so it makes it different. So, Rutger, same question. Do you want me to repeat it, or are you good with it? What unique qualifications do you have to serve on the board?
So my unique qualifications, I have a law degree from University of Pepperdine Law School. I've been born and raised in the Valley, lived here my whole life. I came back after college, after law school, to continue my career here. I plan on living here the rest of my life as well. I actually attended Antelope Valley College during my undergraduate career as well. I was there for a few different classes. I very much enjoyed the option, the ability to come home for the summer and be able to take courses, further my education, and actually save money, because then I didn't have to pay for those general education courses at the university I attended. So those are being able to have that firsthand knowledge, I think, is very valuable in understanding what each student goes through and what is valuable to the student.
Thank you, Rutger. Michael Dutton, your turn next.
Yes, what I think is valuable experience that I have to offer is the fact that I was the founding creator and founding principal of SOAR High School, which is an integral part of what's happening at the college now. And in addition to that, being a 20-year veteran of being a principal in the Antelope Valley and the students in this area, it harkens me back to my days in community college myself. And I think having that experience working with college folk and understanding the system and how it works puts me at a different vantage point as a candidate and a representative for trustee area number 1.
Wonderful, thank you. And Michael Reeves, you may start on yours.
Well, I've worked for the LA County Office of Education and Occidental College. I have a AA degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, contemplating a PhD degree if I can get $50,000. And I also was involved, like I mentioned, with the LA Community College District Board of Trustees. Also, as you all well know, I've been involved in the community up here. I've run for just about every office there is. In the meantime, I've participated in many community meetings and events, particularly at the hospital. As you well know, I'm running for 2 offices on the ballot. I think a combination of that experience and a community involvement will make me an asset to Antelope Valley College. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you all. All right, question number 2. And question number 2, we're going to start off with Rutger. You will be answering the question first, followed by Michelle, and Michael, and then by Michael Dutton, then Michelle, then Michael. Michael Dutton, Michael Reeves, Michelle Harvey will be next. Boy, it's gonna be hard for me to keep these all straight. Number 2, what is the driving force behind you running for the Board of Trustees at AV College?
It goes back to the desire to serve. I am undeservedly blessed to have been born in this valley, raised in this valley, come back and be a part of a family business in this valley. And with all of that, there's this obligation I feel that I am undeservedly blessed, and I need to therefore help and serve in whatever way I can. And I find that the College Board would be a great place to start. Especially with our young students. I very much would like to be a part of the college in a way that hopefully brings up our students and includes them in hopefully new endeavors that we hadn't thought of before.
Wonderful, thank you. Michael Dutton.
Can I hear the question again?
Sure, let me stop my stopwatch again. What is the driving force behind why you are running for the Board of Trustee position at the college?
Okay. The driving force for me, very much like Rutger, is the fact that I am dedicated to community service. I'm a baby boomer, come out of the Kennedy era, where we were asked to ask not what our country could do for us, but what we could do for our country. I believed in that firmly. I still believe in it. I moved to the Antelope Valley so that I could grow with the community and make contributions to that community. And I think I have a long-standing reputation for doing that. Young people have been my focus and my motivation. And I actually taught community college for Bakersfield City Community College District at Tehachapi Prison back in the 80s. And so I have a yin for doing that. I'm a community servant.
Great. Thank you, Michael. And finishing up, question number 2 would be Michelle Harvey.
I currently work in a position where I work with disconnected youth in the Antelope Valley, ages 17 to 24, to make sure that they get back into high school and that they have post-secondary opportunities. Numerous students with my organization attend AVC. So I know the pathway that students are taking and that young folk across the valley are taking to be able to better their lives. It is a call of service, but one to be an advocate for teachers, students, and the community. Students need advocates. They need people who understand what it takes for them to get where they want to be. And that's the role that I hope to play if I'm selected as your trustee.
Mr. Hemstreet, real quick, I think we may have missed Mr. Reeves on that question.
On the first one?
This is the second question.
I'm sorry. Michael, did I miss you on question number 2 on what drives you to?
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mr. Paris. My driving force is to make certain that the students have an opportunity to get an education and do not have to go through the 20 years that I've had to go through. I want to have them a fixed schedule. I want us to help them go to school, afford school, complete school in allotted time. You know, it takes about 6 years or more for an average community college student to get out. That's not good. We can improve on that, reduce that, have a fixed schedule, help them get financial aid and all other aid they need, and complete their education and move on.
Thank you. Question number 3. What are some of the goals you have for Antelope Valley College? And Michael Dutton, we'll start off with you.
Well, thank you. One of the goals that I have is certainly to get the education and the information I need to be the most efficient trustee that our community college district has. Another goal that I have is to support staff and students in our transitioning from the way we used to do things to what we're now compelled to do with this COVID-19 and distance learning. There are, I think, a number of things that are going to shift and change what happens in education, K-14. With some discussion on the federal level about K-14 being an objective where community college is a part of the public education system. Another goal is to attune ourselves to the possibility and maybe align a little more with what's happening with SOAR and students getting through that 14th year.
Thank you, Mr. Dutton. Michael Reeves, you're up next. What are your goals?
I'll read the question again, Mark,
Sure.
please.
What are some of the goals you
What's the
have?
question?
What are some of the goals you have for Antelope Valley College?
Okay, well, we all know what's coming down. We have a fiscal crisis, and we're going to have to look at the budget and our labor negotiation very carefully. I want to start from square one. What happens when a student enrolls? What happens when they get counseling? What happens when they get financial aid? These are the things that we're going to have to look at carefully in the next coming months. We all spoke with the president of the college, and he said it's going to happen. We're going to have a fiscal problem, declining enrollment, among other things. So I want to focus on square one. Let's see what we can do. We have to provide the basic education and make it possible for people to go to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Michelle Harvey.
Well, thank you for that, Mark. One of my goals is definitely open and clear communication between all stakeholders, the Associated Student Union, uh, the leadership at the college, the board. I believe that that should be a paramount goal to make sure that all parties are heard, listened to, and have a voice. Another goal would be improved pathways. There are so many things that we are dealing with as a state, improving options for fire science, just different pathways that are innovative, that students may have interest in, that serve the state as a whole. And then having tools and resources. We are hearing a lot about remote and distant learning. We need to have people who are experts or vetted in the knowledge of technology and how best to serve students in that capacity.
Thank you. And Rutger Paris, you're up. Once we unmute ourselves, that is.
You think after doing this for months and months, I'd have not figured this out by now. Goodness gracious.
Not even close.
Not even close. It'll all be done by the time I figure it out, right?
Yes.
Well, I also would like to echo Michelle's comments. I very much would like to bring a voice. One of my goals is to bring a voice to the students, the faculty, teachers, all of staff, and hopefully bridge any gaps that seem to maybe be missing right now. I have heard a lot about people just not feeling like their voice is heard. And I want to make myself available to these people so they do have a voice. And I think that just comes from listening. You need to start by listening. So I very much, that's my first goal. And then second would be to increase the amount of high-paying jobs and certifications that are available to our students. Our nursing program is a phenomenal example, as well as our work with other union leaders. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Engineers is one. They're just, it's organizations like that I want to become more involved with and hopefully increase the livelihood of our students.
Great, thank you. On to question number 4. How will you ensure student voices are being heard at the institutional level? And we're going to start off with Michael Reeves. You're going to lead off this question. I'll read it one more time. And that is, how will you ensure student voices are being heard at the institutional level? Michael.
Okay. Okay, you have to realize that whatever we do as a board. We have to work together as a board to listen. And it'll be incumbent on us to get our fellow board members to listen to the students and listen to the staff. At the last board meeting, there was some unhappiness by some of the teachers and also the students about some of the things that are going on. It's incumbent on us to listen as a board and act as a board for the students and the staff. And that begins with when someone comes up to speak before the board, they're treated with respect and dignity and listened to. And if it's not possible to give a response immediately, we'll get back to them and give them a response.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael Dunton, you've got the floor.
Yes, in concert with what Michael is saying, listening is probably one of the strongest features of communicating, and you have to listen. Being a board member, you're one of 5. Any important decisions or actions that take place is a collection of 5 people having input. And so working with other trustees and forming a good listening group of people so the students have access, so the staff has access, and so that they feel like they're being communicated with and supported by the board is vitally important. So I see that as one of the strongest features of that particular role.
Great, thank you. Rutger.
One of the things I want to do is I would like to establish a monthly, maybe like a coffee time, or I don't know, I remember a walk with the mayor when I was younger, something like that, where we are accessible to the students. Well, whoever wants access, that we are there. That is one of the things I was hoping to initiate. I also would like to do the same thing with staff and with teachers, to have a time set aside each month where for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it may be, it's almost like office hours, where they can come to us with their questions, concerns, grievances, and really be heard one-on-one. That is how I think is a good, I think that's a good way to begin opening those lines of communication and begin developing that sense of trust.
Perfect. Michelle Harvey.
Thank you, Mark. I think one of my best qualities is remembering what it was like to be a young person. And with that, having ideas that you knew were great, but something happens, I guess, as we all grow older, we don't listen to young people as much as we should. I believe that young people are the future. I'm glad to see that you have a student trustee who attends board meetings, and they have a voice for the board as the student representative. But I agree 1000% with Rutger. And I do believe that there should be times, be it coffee, a monthly luncheon, where you sit down and hear thoughts, ideas, concerns of your constituents. And that should be students, teachers, and stakeholders.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michelle. Question number 5 reads, how will you represent your respective districts in the Board of Trustees? And we will start number 5 with Michael Dutton.
Thank you for the question. Trustee Area 1 is, as I had mentioned before, a rather rural area to represent, going from Ventura to San Bernardino County, surrounding Palmdale, Lancaster, and the Little Rock areas. I'm rather active on the Rural Town Council Association. Well, there's my local council is out in Pear Blossom, but we're active in other rural town councils and have exposure in that area. And so I have I think some sense for the needs of that part of the community college district. But something that was also said in that previously about students, and that is people of that area that would be represented need to see and hear from the representative on the college board, as do students.
Thank you. So we're back to Rutgers up next.
Well, I will admit I am grateful and lucky that our district, District 3, is much more compact. I do not have nearly the logistical issues Michelle and Michael deal with. But I think there are ways that we both can utilize. Facebook, I think, is a brilliant method to create a group for your district, for your constituents, that they can ask questions there. You can do it via a website. That's how I have it set up right now, is via a website. But I think there are multiple ways to really be able to engage with your constituents. But also, due to COVID, they do need to be remote for now. And until we have that vaccine and it is international, global, we need to be very careful with each other and our health.
Michelle Harvey.
Mark, could you repeat the question?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How will you represent your respective district as a board trustee, as a trustee on the board?
I will always look out for my district to make sure that decisions that are made, be it policy, procedure, anything that falls into the realm of governance benefits those constituents of District 1. That's really important that you are connected. I agree about Facebook and Twitter, and I do encourage you to go to harvey4avcc.org. Things like Facebook, where you can email or DM, you'll find on my website, you can live chat if you have a question about background or experience. So with technology, there is no excuse not to have open communication with your district and with your constituents.
Thank you. And Michael Reeves for the same question. How will you represent your respective district as a trustee of the board?
Well, Mark, you know, I go to just about every community meeting there is in the world, and also many council and board meetings. I'm going to continue that, particularly in our area, our District 3. Maybe I can be invited to some of the student affairs, and there's no substitute for being out there with them. And you have to explain to them, you know, Mike can't do anything. It's the board that does things. But I might be able to guide you to the right person that can help you and give you advice that way. But taking action is a board thing. But I will listen to you. I will be out there, and hopefully I'll be in some of the student groups too.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, question number 6. What are some of the changes you wish to see at Antelope Valley College? And Rutger, we're going to start off and have you lead the question off this time.
I think the first thing that I'd like to see change is the amount of collaboration amongst the different unions and just different groups. And I think that really comes from a lack of communication. So if we are able to build those channels and break down those barriers, I think we will have a much, much stronger college at the end of it. I also, excuse me, I lost my train of thought there for a second. I also very much want to see an increase in the technology sector. I think that is extremely important. We really need to be looking at where the world is headed and make sure our students are prepared for it, especially when it comes to their career goals. As Michelle had said, there are several new industries available that are not being properly maintained or taught because there just aren't facilities that do it. And we have an opportunity there that we should jump on.
Thank you. Same question for Michelle.
I agree that collaboration is something that is needed more at AVC, and I would love to be able to be in a position to facilitate more consensus and buy-in, and just for people to be able to be heard, listened to. For me, it's not so much a change as it would be the growth of AVC, the growth of the programs, growth of the ability for students to access that programming, and to be able to take courses at a pace that is relevant to them, but especially when it is needed that they can get into that class. So that has to do with the growth of the college. I know that there are several bonds, the college is growing, but I'm specifically speaking to academic pathways, new innovations and opportunities for our young folk.
Thank you. Michael Reeves, you're up next.
And repeat the question again, Mark.
What are some of the changes you wish to see at Antelope Valley College?
Well, you know, if I was dictator of the world, I would have every student come and get a fixed schedule. And the college would be incumbent to make sure that the student was able to adhere to that fixed schedule, whether it was financial help or counseling or whatever. Help the student with that fixed schedule so they can spend their 2 or 3 years here and move on to a better life. I would start by asking the students, you know, what is bothering you? What can we do to make things better? Is it the counseling office that's lousing up? Is it a failure of us to have classes? What can we do to expedite your education so that you can go out and get more education or get a job in the real world?
Thank you. And Michael Dunton, same question for you, sir.
Yes, I attended a webinar that was hosted by the Chancellor's Office and on lessons in community college leadership. And several things that were brought up, a couple of things that were touched on here that I think are important that I would like to see focused on. One of them having to do with student placements. When I started years and years ago, I started community college, you know, they take a test and then they place you in different things based upon that test score. And a lot of people have been held back. I actually took English, C and no, 60 and then 50 before I could get the 1A and 1B, which added time onto my tenure there as a student, when in fact, 60 and 50 were more difficult than 1A and 1B. And shifting student placements and making it a little easier for students, not easy in terms of the challenge, but giving them an opportunity to take on the challenge of what everybody else is doing.
I got to cut you off there, buddy. Sorry. Got to keep it going there. All right. So we're on to question number 7. How do you envision working with campus groups and organizations like at the Academic Senate and the Associated Student Organization? And Michelle Harvey, we're going to start with you.
Through collaborative efforts, you cannot be of a benefit to anyone if you don't know what is happening. So the first thing would be to gather information, to find out what the concerns are, what the needs are. And as far as working with the Academic Senate, I would love to. Academics is my thing. But there are a lot of groups that are connected to the community colleges, knowing what the needs are, how to best serve those needs.
Thank you. Michael Reeves. Michael.
Well, we had some people come up before the board the last meeting that were unhappy, and they were in the various groups we mentioned. How did it deteriorate to the point where you have to go to the board and express your concerns? That's what bothers me. Is it because the board isn't listening, or the board or the president isn't listening? Let's find out what we can do to open up the communication with the board. The board makes the decisions. The board will be the one to act on what they want. But we can begin by finding out why there is miscommunication and what can we do to improve it.
Thank you. Michael Dunton.
Yes, could I hear the question, please, again?
Certainly. How do you envision working with the campus groups and organizations like the Academic Senate and the Associated Student Organization?
I think it's one of the things that board members can do certainly is to be accessible, to be available. And I think that's an important perspective that needs to be conveyed to these groups, and an important role for board members to play. There are all kinds of ways that you can communicate, and people should be able to communicate with you. Board makes those ultimate decisions, yes, but those ultimate decisions should be for the benefit of the organization, not the disdain or displeasure of them. So getting input from all of these organizations and developing ways where you can communicate to get that input, I think is vital.
Thank you. And Rutger Paris.
Yeah, I agree with both Mr. Dutton and Ms. Harvey. It all comes down to open and honest dialogue and building strong lines of communication where both sides can put away their ego and come to the table realizing we all have one goal, and that goal is to better our students. You guys are our goal, right? Everything else comes secondary to you. So we are here in every capacity to serve you. So that is where, and that's where I would focus. I envision working with them every step of the way, because these organizations are the ones that really know what's going on in their school, and there's no better source of that information. So without open lines of communication, honest lines of communication, I think we'll all be in trouble.
Thank you. There. All right, our next question. What is your financial philosophy when it comes to this institution? And Michael Reeves, we will let you lead off this question.
You may be aware that I have been going to the finance committee meetings at the AV hospital for several years. And they have a budget, and a lot of their funding comes from the state of California. When I spoke with the president of the college, I mentioned that to him, and I said I had a chance to look at the college budget, and I thought, boy, this is going to be easy compared to AV Hospital. Well, it's just as messed up as AV Hospital. The funding, we get a terrible amount of funding from the state. We're at the mercy of the state, just like the hospital. My philosophy is that we try to get that funding, but we need to find some alternative funding. For example, we now have online classes. Maybe that's something in the future. I prefer in-person classes, but if we can generate money with online classes, let's go for it. We're going to be facing this. All these things we said today are nice, but we're going to be facing a fiscal crisis.
Thank you. Michael Dutton, you are second. Go ahead.
Yes, the finances and the direction that the district goes in are intricately combined. I mean, you can't get one without the other. Everything that you do has got to be for the benefit of the delivery of service to our students. And that, of course, includes staff and making sure that everybody is taken care of there. But there, as Michael was saying, there's a limited amount of funds. There's an intricate maze of where those funds come from and how they can be spent, but everything needs to be maximized in the direction of supporting staff and students. I firmly believe that. There's a lot of, we've had bond issues that have been passed. There's a lot of construction going on, which is going to make AVC a top-notch organization anywhere in the state of California.
Thank you. Rutger Paris.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Dutton. It truly comes down to servicing our students, right? And it's kind of like you run it like a business, like a privately owned business, or even a publicly owned business. But instead of having shareholders, you have stakeholders, right? And our stakeholders are our students. They are who we truly answer to, right? And by uplifting them, by focusing on them, that's just where we have to start. That's where every question should start. Does this help our students? If the answer is yes, let's keep walking, keep asking questions. If the answer is no, let's find a new path.
Great, thank you. And Michelle.
I agree with what I've heard here. the purpose of college is to serve our students. As to the financial philosophy, I would say we have a pandemic coming. Evaluate your budget, reduce waste, spend smartly, but most of all, fulfill your mission. That's what the college has to do. And I would hope encompassed in those four things would be do what's best for students. It's been a lifelong philosophy of mine, something I plan to bring to Trustee of District 1 is do what is best for the students. So I think through making cogent decisions about how we spend, evaluating and reducing waste, and making sure that we are prepared to fulfill the mission of the college, then we'll be in good shape.
Thank you. All right. Off to question number 9. Michelle, you mentioned a little bit about COVID there. So one of the questions is on that subject. Do you feel the protocols and the steps taken so far in place currently are sufficient on campus to keep students and staff safe from COVID-19? If not, what changes do you feel need to be implemented? And we will start with Michael Dutton.
Well, I came on campus the other day to do a tour and see what was there. It'd been a little bit of time since I had been there. And I saw a lot of things in place relative to COVID-19 and the college's response to it. There are a lot of places you can't go where we used to go. There are a lot of things that you have to wear that we didn't have to wear before. And the distances are adequately, if not expertly maintained. And I think the college is doing it right in that regard. In terms of supports for staff and students in their distance learning, I'm not as closely connected with it as I'd like to be to know exactly how that is working. But my daughter is a student living at home and taking some courses at AVC, and this is her second course now, and she's been doing very well with the distance learning and how the college has set that up.
Great, thank you. Rutger Paris, you're up next.
I agree as well. The college is doing a great job on campus with the way they're doing the social distancing, the requirements of masks, the separation of certain places you cannot be in. I think that is being done very, very well. The entire city, I think, is doing a great job of that. And then on top of that, again, Michael, it's with the remote learning, I think we are lucky that we have adult students for the most part, college students, and we don't suffer from the same learning disabilities and learning issues that the high school board and elementary schools and middle schools are dealing with. So thankfully, it seems to me that our remote learning is actually a lot more successful than other schools. But I think that is largely just due to the fact that we are a college. And I'm just grateful that we have the remote learning available to students, because I know there are some community colleges that do not.
Great, thank you. Michelle Harvey.
Thank you, Mark. According to the CDC, we may not see something that looks like normal until third or fourth quarter of next year. And so the way that I think about this is kind of, we don't know what we don't know. There may be additional waves of the virus happening. So we do know right now that wearing a mask, washing your hands, social distancing, those things work. But as we head towards winter, I am convinced that we're going to have to rethink how we do things. We're thinking about hand washing stations being set up. Okay, that's great in the summer when it's easy to walk up and wash your hands. But what are the remedies when the weather turns colder? So I do believe there are some adjustments that are going to have to be made, and we're going to have to be able to look at that and make sure that we are keeping not only students, but our classified staff and our certified staff safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Reeves, same question to you. Do you want me to repeat it for you?
That's okay, Mark. First of all, I really personally don't know the concerns of the academic senate and the students on this. Are they happy with it or not? I know the college has been really good about starting up the remote learning. They have 4 different ways to do it. They did an excellent job of doing that. I think we need to promote the remote learning because we get money from the state for in-person learning, and also we get money for remote learning. Not as much by remote, but we'll take what we can get. But we also are renovating, and we're also building new buildings on campus. I wonder if it's feasible to adjust some of those buildings so that we do have a remote distance for the students in the future.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. All right, wrapping up our last question here, trying to keep us on time, keep us on our timeline here. Your term is for 4 years. The current president's contract expires in 3 years. If he does not wish to renew, which I think he may want to retire after his contract is up, I have heard that from him. What will you be looking for in a new president? And we are going to start that off with Rutger.
I'm looking for strong leadership. I think the president is doing a great job. I think he's a bit of a bull, but I do think you need a bull occasionally. I think you need a strong personality in a position like that. And I would look for someone who is also looking down the road, seeing the long game, and not just his 4 years or her 4 years or however many years his contract runs, that they're looking 30 years, 20, 50 years, right? That's what we have to be doing as well in our 4 years, is we need to be looking beyond just what's in front of us. And I hope we would find someone who shares those values.
Great, thank you. Michelle Harvey.
If we were tasked with evaluating, interviewing, finding a new president, I would want someone who is innovative, a futurist. It's like Rutger says, someone who can see down the road, realize that it is not about just the immediate, although that is important too, because we have students who are trying to graduate right now. But being able to have a vision for the future of the college, and someone who has a deep understanding of the value of stakeholders, that would be important in a role like that. So definitely a collaborative, innovative futurist. That would be exciting, I would think.
Thank you, Michelle. Michael Reeves, what are your thoughts?
Are you thinking to me, Mark? I would prefer, if we have to choose a new president, that it would be a man or a woman who has experience in the community college system. They know how it works, and maybe they've taught in it or they've been administrator. And also, they're from out of the area. They offer a fresh perspective on community colleges. I think that would be beneficial. Also, I would take in consideration what the academic senate has and the students. They would have a voice in it too. It just won't be a board decision, which it will ultimately be, but we want to share it. And I would like to have those people who are candidates speak before the general public in the community and let them hear them. And on the basis of all that, then we'll choose someone that will benefit the college.
Thank you, Michael. Michael Dutton, let me hear your thoughts.
Well, every governance team or organization, if you will, the trustees collectively will ultimately have to make the decision, but they also should have an organizational vision that they want the leadership to be working toward. And that vision should include all of the stakeholders in its creation. And I would think that in the selection process, those stakeholders are also involved in the process of selecting whoever the next president is going to be. And finding somebody who is going to seriously take on the task of exercising and working toward the collective community vision of what they want their community college to look like and to be.
Thank you. Got everybody there? All right. So we're doing pretty good on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. We're going to do closing statements. We'll give each one of you a minute and a half to do your closing statement. Again, I will put my hand up at 15 seconds out so you can wrap up in that last 15 seconds, just so if you don't have a timer in front of you. But if you can give me your closing statements, that would be wonderful. And we are going to start off with, get my little clock going here. Too many things going on in front of me. We're going to start with Michelle Harvey. So Michelle.
Well, thank you for having me here today, being able to answer questions. It's been wonderful because connecting with the community is what I love to do. I'm in District 1 because I'm originally from North Carolina. I was raised on a 128-acre farm. And when I came to California, my mom retired in this area over 30 years ago in the Lancaster, Palmdale community. I came here to be with her, and I wanted somewhere that felt comfortable. Well, District 1, it feels comfortable. I'm a girl who walks around in cowboy boots, and it works for me. I believe truly that education is opportunity. My mom, before she went to college, she was a cook, and my dad was a welder. And I know what it takes for ordinary families to make it to the community college system, which then feeds into 4-year opportunities through the university. I know the sacrifice that that takes, be it paying back financial aid or families working to pay for you to be able to do that. And I think with all of that effort, there should be a quality education that you receive at the community college level. We have not spoken enough about the vocational programs. I am a big believer in career and technical education. So I want you to know that I am passionate about education, passionate about the growth of the community college, and passionate about your success.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michael Reeves, give us your closing words.
You know, I've mentioned a couple times that we face really fiscal challenges. And I'm afraid that a lot of what we do in the future is going to be to keep the college afloat. And that's what I want to do, keep the college going. And I want to consider the feelings and the lives of the students and the staff. I don't favor any layoffs in the future. I don't favor any diminished academic capacity of the college, but I do favor a fiscal look at how we run the college and keep the college going. We may have to eliminate somebody's pet projects, but we're going to keep the college going. We're going to make it better. We're going to be conscious of the lives of the people that we are chosen to deal with. There are personal things. I'd like to expand the nursing program. I'd like to make it possible for the nurses to go 2 years, get a scholarship, get out of there in 2 years, go work at AV Hospital where we need nurses and spend millions of dollars for temporary nurses. I want to try to get the law enforcement program back up here. The sheriff's kind of shunned us and take it away. We want to get that back up here. We want to do things for the community and the students and the staff. And the students and the staff are my priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Michael Dunton, let me hear your closing remarks.
Well, my closing remarks would be that as I began, I mentioned that I am a community servant. My background is similar to Michelle's. You would think she was my sister. I grew up on a smaller farm in Pennsylvania about 50 years ago. But, you know, coming here and being part of the community college system, we didn't have this in Pennsylvania. They didn't have anything like this. You had to go to a prep school if you were wealthy enough. So my mother, who graduated from high school after I did, got her AA degree in nursing at Bakersfield Community College. And then I went and got my AA degree in US history. So we are byproducts of the community college system. I know it, I understand it, I've worked in it, I've fed into it, and I want to be a part of it representing trustee area number 1.
Thank you. And our last candidate would be Rutger Ferris. Rutger, you can wrap it up for us and give us your next 90 seconds.
Well, I just want to thank you all for this opportunity to speak with you. We very much appreciate the opportunity. I also want to thank you the opportunity to run and to be able to be a part of our college system. Either way that it goes, just this has value to it, truly. So I just want to thank everyone involved. Cameron, especially, thank you for setting this up. Without you, this wouldn't even have happened. So thank you for all the hard work you do for your student organization. And I hope to see you around campus.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rutger. Okay, that wraps it up for our forum. I want to say thank you to all 4 of our candidates for making it here. You know, it's not, you know, I'm the CEO for the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, and we do these forums off and on again. We try to do them for city council, we do them for assembly, state. And it's hard. It's really difficult to get all the candidates to agree on one date and one time and actually agree to be asked their opinion on what they're going to do. So I appreciate the candidates for coming out here and willing to say what they feel and how they want to run the college there. And Cameron, I want to thank you for putting this whole thing together. You did an awesome job. You gave me some great questions. It was a pleasure for me to moderate this great group. I appreciate all of you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Cameron to close it up. So thank you, Cameron.
Thank you for being here, and thank everyone for being here and being able to answer these questions. I would just like to remind our students that election is more than just voting for the president and the vice president. It's also voting for our local officials, and that will have a huge impact on how our community runs and what happens here on our local level. So I just want to encourage everyone to remember to vote for every position that you can, and all the propositions in our ballots, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Cameron.
Cameron, thank you. Mark, thank you.